Since Hollow Knight Silksong was announced, fans have been busy theorizing and speculating about what we'll encounter in the game. After reading through around 50 of these theories, I've compiled a list of the most intriguing ones. Firstly, there's a theory that Hornet is somehow related to Grim. Pogo Bro already made a video discussing this, so if you want a more detailed analysis, be sure to check out his channel after this video. The basis of this theory is that Hornet and Grim share a few animations in their moves, leading some fans to believe there could be a deeper connection. However, aside from that similarity, the theory falls apart. From a lore perspective, we know Hornet's mother is Hera the Beast and her father is the Pale King. Unless all higher beings are somehow connected, which feels like a bit of a stretch, there is no real basis for this theory. Neither Hera nor the Pale King resemble Grim in any way, and while both Hornet and Grim wear a reddish cape, them having the same tailor doesn't suggest they're related. Moreover, Hornet lived in Hollow Nest while it was still alive, while the Grim troop only visits dead kingdoms. Even then, the troop has to be summoned using a Dream Nail, and Hornet certainly didn't wield a Dream Nail in Hollow Knight. All in all, this theory is pretty fun, but it doesn't hold up under scrutiny. This theory was proposed by a YouTuber, Stizzle, and it actually seems quite plausible. In the footage we've seen of Hornet fighting the Moz Mother, the doors behind her only close once she destroys one of the eggs in the boss arena. So it might be possible to avoid triggering the boss fight by jumping around the eggs, which could save speedrunners a few precious seconds. The Last Judge is, in my opinion, one of the most fascinating bosses revealed so far. We first saw him in the Edge magazine, and later a brief clip of his fight was shown in the second trailer. In a Reddit AMA, it was confirmed by the developers he'll play an important role in the game. He resembles these three enemies described as a scholarly suit, former tenders of a dusty vault full of ancient knowledge, which suggests that he might be the guardian who decides whether you're worthy of entering this vault. There's also speculation about whether the Last Judge is mechanical or void related. Personally, I don't think he's fully mechanical. He might have some mechanical parts to him, but he seems to have a will of his own. And as for the connection to the void, while I initially made the case for the black lines on his mask being void in my Last Judge video, I think that the black lines on his mask are his blood, like we saw with No Eyes, or just weathering like the paintings in the City of Tears or the Lord Fool. It's already confirmed that Silksong will be larger than Hollow Knight thanks to a Reddit user who spoke with R. Gibson. But how much bigger? Some speculate that it could be twice, 3 times, or even 4 times larger. Personally, I think it would be around 1.5 times the size of Hollow Nest. People also theorize about areas of the map we've seen in trailers and images, but since we don't have a complete picture of all the regions, it's hard to piece together how they'll connect. Some YouTubers like Mossbag have made their own interpretations of what the Silksong map might look like, but until we get more official information, it's just speculation. One of the biggest questions fans have had is whether Silksong is a prequel or a sequel. The main thing people will build their arguments around is the fact that Team Cherry said that all endings in Hollow Knight are canon, which is where the debate splits the community. The prequel theory is mainly supported by the Sealed Siblings ending, where Hornet is trapped in the Black Egg alongside the Knight, which instantly points at this game being a prequel, because how could she end up in Pharloom if she is trapped inside the Black Egg? Some speculate that Team Cherry meant all endings except the Sealed Siblings are canon, but even so, it's hard to imagine Hornet surviving the events of the Godseeker's ending, when the Void God manifested itself in Hollow Nest. There's also a cut dialogue from Hornet's Green Path encounter still present in French translation, which also supports the prequel theory, which says, "It took her too much time to get back," potentially referring to her return from Pharloom to Hollow Nest. On the other side, those who believe Silksong is a sequel argue that making it a prequel would weaken Silksong's endings, as we would already know Hornet's fate. Personally, I lean towards the sequel theory a bit more because of Hollow Knight's timeline. When Hornet was born, Hallownest was not completely ruined, so I don't think that some bugs from another kingdom could have just walked into Hallownest and steal a daughter from one of the strongest beings in the world and just leave. And if she was abducted after the fall of Hallownest, I don't think there is enough time for her to be abducted, do whatever she is doing in Pharloom, return back to Hallownest, and proceed with the events of the game. Personally, I think that Hollow Knight Silksong will continue after the Dream No More ending, but that is just my opinion. If you have anything more to add to this theory, leave a comment and tell me what you think. This one is pretty short. Since we have a character named the Huntress, it is thought that this will be the hunter of this game, and the only thing that drives me away from this theory is this mark that appears after Hornet kills an enemy. This might be an indicator of a new enemy you killed, like in Hollow Knight, but unlike the Hunter's mark that looks like him, this mark doesn't share any similarities with Huntress. It might represent her children that are mentioned in her description, but I'm not so sure about that. And as for her location, judging by the grey color scheme, it is possible that Huntress resides in Greymorn, or a sub-area where Seth is located at, but again, her exact location remains uncertain. There are a few variations of this theory, but the central idea is that a higher power is controlling everyone in Pharloom. Some believe it is the silk attached to various enemies, mostly noticeable in the fight against this giant robot. Others think that a song is controlling the inhabitants, and the bells scattered throughout the cities are either producing the song that controls everyone, or block out the song, keeping the city's residents sane. That would explain why the bugs of this city that we saw in the trailer are acting normal, and why every single house has a small bell on the entrance. As for the Puppeteer's identity, most fans suspect that whoever is pulling the strings is located in the Citadel, possibly the same person who ordered Hornet's capture, or even the King of Pharloom himself could be the Puppeteer. This theory suggests that at the top of the Citadel there is a sleeping higher being. The cultists we see throughout the Citadel are making bells to awaken this entity whom they worship as a god. This idea stems from the text in Pharloom's Folly by conductor Romino, which includes the line, "When you wake, they shall see your truth, a beast nature, bare to all." But other than this one line, nothing else points at this theory being true. This theory is almost guaranteed to be true. The Charm Weaver song in Hollow Knight contains both words silk and song in its description and mentions the weavers returning to their homeland. We've already seen weaver-related imagery in Pharloom, as this kingdom is presumably where they originally came from before migrating to Hallownest. And considering how closely the weavers were tied to Hornet's birth, seeing as the weaver's den is literally connected to Hornet's room, and the only living weaver we meet is located there as well, it seems likely that the weavers will play a significant role in Silksong, maybe even giving us glimpses into Hornet's backstory. The only question is what their purpose will be. Some speculate they're involved in silk production, while others think they'll be scattered throughout the game within shrines and secret locations, helping Hornet to unlock new abilities. Building on the previous theory, some fans believe that the final boss of Silksong will be a weaver. The logic is that weavers are capable of creating silk and seals of binding from that silk, and this silk could also be responsible for all the strings controlling Pharloom citizens. This theory suggests that rather than weavers being the victims of the kingdom, the mastermind behind the Pharloom's control could be a weaver. This theory draws parallels to Hollow Knight, where a major boss shares a name with the title of the game. Fans speculate that Silksong might refer to a boss or a higher being in Hornet's adventure, but the more reasonable theory is that Silksong represents the curse affecting Pharloom citizens. Since Team Cherry confirmed that all endings are canon, some fans believe that Hornet will face off against the Knight, now transformed into the Lord of Shades from the Godmaster ending. While this theory is fun, I think there's less than a 1% chance it will actually happen. It seems improbable that the Lord of Shades would travel from Hallownest to Pharloom only to be stopped by a spider with a needle. We know the Knight wasn't the only vessel to escape the birthplace in Hollow Knight. as many were scattered throughout the Hollow Nest, but presumably the knight is the only vessel that ventured outside the kingdom. But what if this wasn't the case? What if some vessels traveled beyond Hollow Nest, venturing deeper into the wilderness and eventually stumbling into Pharloom? It's a bit of a stretch to think that any vessel could survive the journey, and even if they could make it to Pharloom, the cold-like environment would surely kill such a creature. But again, it would be a neat Easter egg to discover a dead vessel hidden somewhere in the kingdom. This is probably the least likely theory. The Pale King barely appeared in Hollow Knight as it is, a game set in his own kingdom, and even if you're standing on a prequel or a sequel side, it doesn't make any sense for him to be in Pharloom unless it's just a portrait or a flashback, which would make a cool reference, but nothing more. And those are some of the most intriguing fan theories surrounding Hollow Knight Silksong. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. If you saw any flaws with the video, make sure to point them out, and if you have any theories of your own, leave a comment below. For now, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.